The stars looked different through the glass of the command deck. Captain Yuna stood with her hands behind her back, watching the endless black space ahead. Her ship, the HSS Pathfinder, was the first human vessel to cross into unknown territory. They had traveled for 3 months, and finally they were here. The neutral expanse, a place where no one owned the stars. Yuna was young for a captain, only 34 years old. Most people thought she was too aggressive, too quick to act. But that was exactly why Admiral Minho chose her for this mission. Earth needed someone who would not back down when meeting aliens for the first time. "Captain, we have contacts," her officer said from the radar station. 51 ships, 1 very large, 50 smaller ones. They just appeared. Yuna walked to the screen. Sure enough, 51 dots surrounded them in a perfect circle. They had jumped in from nowhere using technology humanity did not have yet. This was it. "First contact, send standard greeting. All languages," Yuna ordered. A moment later, the response came. The translation software worked instantly. The voice was cold and mechanical. "Primitive vessel. You have entered regulated space. Power down your weapons. Prepare to be boarded. You will be evaluated by the Galactic Council. Resistance is not permitted." The bridge went quiet. Yuna read the message again. Not welcomed. Not invited, evaluated. Like they were children who needed permission to exist. "Captain," her weapons officer asked. "What do we do?" Yuna thought about Admiral Minho's last words before she left Earth. "If they treat you like you are weak, do not prove them right. Show them what humans are." "Open a channel," Yuna said. "Let me talk to whoever is in charge." The screen changed. An alien appeared. It was tall, with gray skin and 4 arms. Its eyes were dark and emotionless. Behind it, Yuna could see a massive bridge with hundreds of aliens working at stations. "I am War Marshal Kree of the Sal Kareth Empire," the alien said. "You will comply with council protocols." "This is not a negotiation," Yuna smiled. Not a friendly smile. The kind of smile that made her crew nervous. "I am Captain Yuna of the Human Space Service. And you have made a mistake, War Marshal. You think we are weak because we are new. You think we will surrender because you have more ships. Let me explain something about humans. We do not negotiate from positions of weakness." Ever Kree expression did not change. "You have 1 vessel. I have 51. Your response is illogical. Watch this," Yuna said. She cut the channel. "Weapons target the 3 closest escort ships. Use the gravity well cannon. Fire on my mark." "Captain, if we fire, they will destroy us," her first officer said. "Not if we jump first. Navigation, prepare emergency jump coordinates. Random direction, maximum range. Weapons fire now." The Pathfinder experimental weapon activated. It was Dr. Hyun design, something the aliens had never seen. Instead of shooting energy or missiles, it created tiny black holes that lasted only seconds. But those seconds were enough. 3 alien escort ships suddenly stopped moving. Their engines failed. Their lights went dark. The gravity wells had crushed their power systems from the inside. "Jump now," Yuna shouted. The Pathfinder disappeared. One moment it was surrounded by alien warships. The next moment it was gone, leaving only 3 disabled enemy vessels floating in space. On the bridge of his flagship, War Marshal Kree stood frozen. In 10,000 years of service across 2,000 military campaigns, no one had ever done that. No species had ever refused first contact. No primitive vessel had ever attacked his fleet. "Analysis," he ordered. His science officer worked quickly. "War Marshal, the weapon they used is not in our database. It created localized gravitational collapse. Temporary but precise. The technology is unknown." Kree watched the replay of the attack. The human captain had smiled before firing. She knew exactly what would happen. This was not panic. This was strategy. "Send a message to the council," Kree said slowly. "Tell them we have a problem. The humans are not like other species." 3 weeks later, Captain Yuna's ship arrived back at Earth. She walked into Admiral Minho's office and placed a data chip on his desk. "I met them," she said. "The Galactic Council, or at least their military." Minho was 52 with gray hair and calm eyes. He picked up the chip and they tried to board us, treat us like children who need evaluation. I disabled 3 of their ships and jumped away. Minho did not look surprised. He plugged in the chip and watched the recorded encounter. When it finished, he sat back in his chair. "You started a war," he said. "No, sir. I prevented slavery. That data chip has everything our sensors recorded. Their ships, their weapons, their communication protocols. Dr. Hyun is already analyzing it. Minho looked at the young captain. She was not afraid. She was ready. The Council has ruled this galaxy for 40,000 years, Minho said. They have millions of ships, thousands of species, technology we cannot match, yes, sir. But they have never fought someone like us. Minho stood up and walked to the window. Below, Earth Defense Fleet was visible in orbit. 200 ships. Everything humanity had built in 50 years of space exploration. Dr. Hyun found something interesting in their data, Minho said. The Council has not fought a real war in 8,000 years. They have not needed to. Everyone surrenders when they arrive. So they are soft, Yuna said. Maybe. Or maybe they are just used to winning. Either way, you are right. We cannot surrender. The moment we do, we lose everything. Our freedom. Our future. Earth becomes just another planet following their rules. Minho turned back to face her.
I am calling an emergency assembly.
Every nation, every leader. We need to decide this together. But Yuna, you should know something. I agree with what you did. If the Council wants Earth, they are going to have to take it. And we are going to make them pay for every inch. Yuna nodded. When they come back, they will bring more ships, then we will be ready. Get some rest, Captain. The war has not started yet. But it will. Far across the galaxy in the Council chambers, Speaker Velthera received War Marshal Kree report. She read it 3 times. Each time her concern grew. Velthera had led the Council for 300 years. She had welcomed 67 new species into galactic civilization. Every single one had followed the same pattern. Surprise, fear, acceptance. The humans had broken that pattern. They attacked War Marshal Kree fleet, her advisor said. No one has ever done that. Send another envoy, Velthera ordered. A diplomatic one this time. No warships. Make it clear we come in peace, and if they refuse again? Velthera was silent for a moment. Then we have our first war in 8,000 years, and I fear these humans will not fight like anyone we remember. 6 months had passed since the first contact. Earth had changed. Every city, every nation, every person knew that aliens existed, and those aliens wanted to control them. Admiral Minho stood before the United Earth Assembly. Leaders from every nation sat in the massive hall. The room was silent as he spoke. We have studied their data for 6 months, Minho said. Dr. Hyun and his team have decoded their history files. What we found should concern everyone in this room. The screen behind him lit up. Images of alien worlds appeared. Cities, ships, millions of beings. The Galactic Council rules 42,000 star systems. They control over 800 species. But here is what matters. Every species follows the same pattern. The Council arrives. The Council makes demands. The species surrenders. Then that species loses its freedom, its technology rights, its ability to choose its own path. A leader from Europe stood up. But surely they offer protection, trade, knowledge. They offer slavery disguised as partnership, Minho replied. Dr. Hyun, please explain. Dr. Hyun walked to the front. He was 41 with tired eyes from months of endless work. He touched the screen and new images appeared. Look at these technology curves, he said. Every Council species stops innovating after joining. Their technology freezes. The Council provides everything, so they lose the ability to create. Within 3 generations, they become completely dependent. They cannot leave even if they want to. The assembly broke into worried conversations. Minho waited for them to quiet down. 6 times in the past 6 months, the Council has sent envoys, he continued. 6 times we have refused to meet them. They are getting frustrated. War Marshal Kree has been building a fleet. Our intelligence says he now has 500 vessels ready. Can we fight 500 ships with 200? Someone asked. Minho smiled. That is exactly what they think we cannot do, which is why we will. 3 weeks later, the Council fleet arrived at the edge of Earth's solar system. War Marshal Kree stood on his flagship bridge, watching Neptune grow larger on the screens. 500 ships, Kree said to his officers. The largest battle fleet assembled in 8,000 years. The humans have nowhere to run this time. His tactical officer looked worried. War Marshal, we should be cautious. These humans defeated 3 of our ships with 1 vessel. That was a surprise attack, Kree replied. We are prepared now. They cannot surprise us again, but his officer was right to worry. As the Council fleet moved past Neptune, the human defense fleet appeared. 200 ships arranged in a strange formation. They are accepting battle, Kree said. Finally. All ships, combat formation. We will end this quickly. On the human flagship, the HSS Indomitable, Captain Yuna watched the enemy fleet organize itself. She was back in command after 6 months of intense training. This time, she had more than one ship. Admiral Minho's voice came through the communication system. All ships, this is Admiral Minho. Today we fight for Earth freedom. Remember your training. Trust your crews. And show them what humans do best. Yuna touched her communication panel. All fighters launch now. Execute pattern Delta 7. What the Council fleet saw next confused them. The human ships scattered. They broke formation and ran in different directions. It looked like panic. They are retreating, a Council officer reported. They fear our numbers. Kree felt something was wrong. The humans did not seem like people who retreated. Captain Yuna had proven that 6 months ago. Wait, he said. Do not pursue. Stay in formation, but it was too late. Half his fleet had already broken formation to chase the retreating humans. And that was when the trap sprang. The human ships that had run away suddenly turned around. They had led the Council ships into specific positions. And in those positions, hidden weapons platforms activated. Dr. Hyun had spent 6 months building these platforms. They were small, nearly invisible, and packed with missiles. Hundreds of them floated in the space around Neptune waiting. The first wave of missiles hit 30 Council ships before they could react. Explosions lit up the dark space. The Council formation fell apart in confusion. All ships fall back, Kree shouted. Reform at Point Beta. This is an ambush, but the humans were not finished. Captain Yuna led a squadron of fast attack ships directly at the Council flagship. They moved in patterns the aliens had never seen. Twisting, turning, impossible to target. These ships are too fast, a Council gunner reported. Our weapons cannot lock on. Yuna smiled inside her helmet. Her ship, the Indomitable, was the fastest vessel in human fleet. And she knew how to fly it. Target their communication arrays, she ordered her squadron. Cut them off from each other. Human missiles struck the communication towers on dozens of Council ships. Suddenly, Kree could not talk to half his fleet. They were blind and deaf in the middle of battle. The battle lasted 6 hours. It was chaos. Council ships, so used to easy victories, found themselves fighting an enemy that never stopped moving. The humans used tactics from their own history. False retreats, ambushes, sacrificial attacks that turned into devastating traps. Lieutenant Daehyun led a team of Marines in a daring move, his small boarding ships attached to 3 Council vessels. His teams broke inside and released Dr. Hyun nanite virus into their systems. Within minutes, those ships went dark, their computers destroyed from within. The nanites spread from ship to ship through communication links. It was like a disease, turning the Council-owned network against them. 50 ships lost power, then 70, then 100. War Marshal Kree watched his fleet fall apart. He had brought 500 ships to crush 200. Now he was losing. All ships, emergency jump, he ordered. Retreat to Rally Point Gamma. Retreat now. The Council ships that still could move began jumping away. They left behind 180 disabled or destroyed vessels. The humans had lost 75 ships, but they had won. On the Indomitable bridge, Captain Yuna watched the enemy fleet run. Her crew cheered. They had done the impossible. All ships cease fire, Admiral Minho's voice came through. Let them go. We have made our point. Yuna sat back in her chair. They had won the Battle of Neptune. But she knew this was just the beginning. 2 days later, War Marshal Kree sat alone in his quarters. He had watched the battle recordings 50 times. Each time he saw something new, something that terrified him. The humans had not just fought. They had fought smart. Every move was calculated. Every tactic was designed to maximize damage while minimizing risk. They fought like people who had studied war for thousands of years. Kree accessed Earth historical database. What he found there made everything clear. These humans had been fighting themselves for their entire recorded history. Wars, battles, conflicts that killed millions. They did not learn war from the stars. They brought it with them. He wrote a report to Speaker Velthara. It was simple and direct. The humans cannot be defeated through conventional warfare. They are experts. They have fought more wars in their short history than the Council has fought in 10,000 years. I recommend immediate diplomatic negotiations. But Velthara did not want to hear about negotiation. The council had never negotiated with anyone as equals. She would not start now. Prepare for full mobilization, she ordered. We will show these humans the true power of the council. On Earth, Admiral Minho received intelligence about the council new plans. They were mobilizing everything. Thousands of ships from dozens of species. He called a meeting with his senior officers. Captain Yuna, Lieutenant Dahyun, and Dr. Hyun all sat around the table. They are not giving up, Minho said. They are coming back with everything they have. Good, Yuna said. We just getting started. The council chambers were in chaos. Speaker Velthara stood at the center, trying to maintain order. Around her, representatives from dozens of species shouted and argued. The humans defeated our fleet, one representative yelled. War Marshal Kree lost 180 ships. This is unprecedented. We should negotiate, another said. Offer them membership with favorable terms. Never, a third voice shouted. If we negotiate now, it shows weakness. Other species will rebel. Velthara raised her hand for silence. It took several minutes for the chamber to quiet. We will not negotiate, she said firmly. The council has maintained order for 40,000 years. We will not let one species destroy that order. War Marshal Kree will receive reinforcements. We will crush this rebellion, but not everyone agreed. In the back rows, 3 representatives from smaller species watched quietly. They had spent centuries under council control, and they were tired of it. That night, humanity struck first. Admiral Minho had decided that defense was not enough. If the council wanted war, humans would bring war to them. Captain Yuna led the first raid. Her target was a council supply depot in the Kepler system. The depot provided fuel and ammunition to 50 nearby stations. 12 human ships jumped into the system. The council guards were not ready. They had never been attacked before. Why would they need strong defenses? Yuna ships moved fast. They hit the depot with missiles and gravity weapons. Within 20 minutes, the entire facility was destroyed. Then the human ships jumped away before reinforcements could arrive. The same night, human teams hit 3 other locations: a communication relay station, a military training base, a research facility studying alien technology, all destroyed, all without losing a single human ship. The council was shocked. No one attacked their territory. No one had dared in thousands of years. 2 weeks later, Lieutenant Dahyun led his most daring mission yet. His target was a council archive station in deep space. The station contained 10,000 years of military records, tactical data, and strategic intelligence. Dahyun was 29 years old and the best Marine commander humanity had. His teams were experts at boarding actions. They could enter enemy ships without being detected. The archive station had minimal guards. After all, who would attack an archive? Dahyun team attached their boarding pods to the station hull. They cut through in silence. Inside, they moved like ghosts. The council security systems were old, designed to stop ancient threats. They had never seen anything like human electronic warfare. Dr. Hyun had given Dahyun team tools that could hack any council computer. In 30 minutes, Dahyun team copied everything. Every battle plan, every tactical manual, every weakness in council defenses. Then they left as quietly as they had come. The council did not even know they had been robbed until the next day. Back on Earth, Dr. Hyun studied the stolen data with excitement. What he found was incredible. Admiral, you need to see this, he said to Minho. The council technology has not changed in thousands of years. They use the same ship designs, the same weapons, the same tactics. They have become frozen in time. Why? Minho asked. Because they have not needed to change. When you win every battle without effort, you stop improving. They have no competition, no pressure to innovate. Meanwhile, we humans never stop fighting. We never stop improving. That is our advantage, Minho smiled. So every raid we make forces them to adapt. And they do not know how exactly, Dr. Hyun said. And there is more. I found evidence that 3 species are unhappy with council rule. If we can contact them secretly, we might find allies. Over the next month, human raiders struck 12 more times. Each attack was surgical, fast, efficient. The council tried to respond, but they were always too slow. By the time their reinforcements arrived, the humans were gone. Captain Yuna became famous across the galaxy. Some called her the Ghost Captain, others called her the Hunter. She led raids that seemed impossible. Her ships would appear from nowhere, strike hard, and vanish. The council defenses were stretched thin. They had to guard hundreds of locations. They never knew where humans would strike next. Fear spread through their ranks. War Marshal Kree watched all this with growing respect. The humans were not just warriors. They were brilliant strategists. Each raid served a purpose. They were not trying to win through destruction. They were winning through psychology. He requested a meeting with Speaker Velthera. "We need to change our approach," he said. "The humans are exposing our weaknesses. They are showing other species that we can be challenged. Then we will eliminate them completely," Velthera replied. "I am authorizing full military mobilization. Every species will contribute ships. We will assemble the largest fleet in history." Kree wanted to argue, but he could not. The council had made its decision. 3 species did not wait. Late one night, their representatives sent secret messages to Earth. The messages were simple. "We want freedom. We want to leave the council. Will you help us?" Admiral Minho read the messages carefully. This was dangerous. If the council discovered he was communicating with their members, it would give them justification for total war. But if he ignored these messages, he would lose potential allies. He called a meeting with his senior staff. Captain Yuna, Lieutenant Daehyun, and Dr. Hyun all gathered in the secure conference room. 3 species want to join us, Minho said. If we accept, we gain allies. But we also take responsibility for protecting them. Can we do that? Yuna spoke first. We should accept. This is exactly what we wanted. To break the council unity. If 3 species can leave, others will follow. But we will need to protect them, Daehyun said. The council will try to punish them. We need a plan, Dr. Hyun nodded. I have been working on something. A defense network. We can install it in their systems. It will give them the ability to defend themselves. Minho made his decision. Send them a reply. Tell them we accept. And tell them that as of today, they are under Earth protection. Any attack on them is an attack on us. When the council discovered that 3 species had declared independence and joined humanity, the reaction was explosive. This is rebellion, Velthera said to her council. This cannot stand. We will make an example of these traitors. She sent War Marshal Kree with orders to reclaim the rebel systems by force. Kree arrived at the first rebel system with 100 ships. He expected an easy victory. Instead, he found human defense platforms surrounding the planet. The same platforms that had destroyed his fleet at Neptune, and Captain Yuna was waiting for him. War Marshal Kree, she said over open communication. These people are under our protection. If you attack Earth. Are you ready for that? Kree studied the tactical situation. He had 100 ships, but the human defenses were strong, and Yuna had proven she was a dangerous opponent. He made a decision that surprised everyone. He withdrew. When he reported back to Velthera, she was furious. You retreated without fighting? I preserved my fleet, Kree replied calmly. The humans were ready. They wanted us to attack. It was a trap. If I had engaged, I would have lost half my ships. Velthera sat back in her chair. For the first time in her 300 years of leadership, she felt uncertain. How do we fight an enemy that turns our strength into weakness? She asked quietly. Kree had no answer. On Earth, Admiral Minho received the news of Kree retreat. He allowed himself a small smile. Phase 2. Complete, he said to his staff. We have shown them we can defend. Now we show them we can conquer. What is Phase 3? Yuna asked. We take the fight to their home systems. We show them that nowhere is safe. And we force them to make a choice. Change or fall. 1 year had passed since the first human ship entered Council space. 1 year of constant war. And now, War Marshal Kree stood before the largest military force ever assembled in galactic history. 3,000 ships filled the space around him. Vessels from 17 different species, all united under Council command. This was the Grand Armada, the force that would finally crush humanity. Speaker Velthera voice came through his communication system. War Marshal, the Council expects victory. No more retreats, no more delays. End this war. Kree looked at the massive fleet. 3,000 ships against maybe 400 human vessels. The numbers were overwhelming. And yet he felt uneasy. The humans had surprised him too many times. They never did what he expected. They fought with tactics he had never seen. They turned every disadvantage into an advantage. All ships, prepare for jump, Kree ordered. Destination, Sol system. Earth home. The Grand Armada jumped as one. Space twisted around them, and then they arrived at the edge of Earth's solar system. What they saw made every council officer go silent. The entire solar system was a fortress. Weapon platforms surrounded every planet, thousands of them. Mines floated in carefully planned patterns. Defense stations orbited the sun itself, and in the center of it all, Earth fleet waited. Admiral Minho sat on the bridge of his command ship. He looked older now. The year of war had aged him, but his eyes were still sharp and his mind still clear. "They came," Captain Yuna said beside him. "Just like you predicted, of course they did," Minho replied. "They cannot afford to lose. If we survive, their entire system collapses. Every species they control will see that rebellion is possible." Yuna looked at the tactical display. 3,000 enemy ships. It was terrifying. "Can we win this?" she asked quietly. Minho smiled. "We do not need to win. We just need to survive, and make them understand that killing us will cost too much." War Marshal Kree sent a message to Earth, simple and direct. "Surrender now. Your species will be integrated into the Council with honor. Refuse, and we will destroy everything." Minho's response was just as simple. "Come and try." The Battle of Seoul began. The Council fleet moved forward in perfect formation. They expected the humans to scatter like before. Instead, Earth fleet held position. That should have been the first warning. When the Council ships reached the outer defense zone, the weapon platforms activated. Thousands of missiles launched at once. The sky filled with fire, but the Council had prepared for this. Their shields held. They pushed through the missile storm, losing only 30 ships. "Keep advancing," Kree ordered. "Their defenses are strong, but we have the numbers." Then the second surprise hit them. Hidden among the weapon platforms were new human vessels, the Ragnarok-class dreadnoughts. Humanity had spent the entire year building them in secret asteroid shipyards. These ships were massive, bigger than anything humans had built before, and they carried Dr. Hyun's newest weapons. The Ragnarok ships fired gravity cannons, the same weapons that had disabled Council ships a year ago, but 100 times more powerful. Reality itself twisted around the beams. Council ships that were hit simply stopped existing. The gravity weapons crushed them into nothing. 200 ships died in the first volley. "All ships, evasive maneuvers," Kree shouted. "Spread out. Do not give them concentrated targets." The Council formation broke apart. Ships scattered in all directions, and that was exactly what Admiral Minho wanted. "Now," he said calmly. Captain Yuna led her fighters into the chaos. Her squadron moved through the scattered Council ships like wolves hunting sheep. The enemy ships were too spread out to support each other. The battle became a nightmare for the Council. Everywhere they turned, humans were waiting. The weapon platforms kept firing. The Ragnarok ships hunted capital vessels, and human fighters picked off stragglers. Lieutenant Daehyun saw his opportunity. In the confusion, Kree flagship was separated from its escorts. Daehyun led his boarding team straight at it. "War Marshal," the human captain said. "We have boarding pods incoming." "Shoot them down," Kree ordered. But Daehyun teams were too fast. Their pods attached to the hull. They cut through and entered the flagship. Inside, Daehyun Marines moved with perfect precision. They knew the ship layout from the stolen archive data. They reached the bridge in minutes. The doors exploded inward. Daehyun walked onto the bridge, weapon ready. His team surrounded the Council officers. "War Marshal Kree," Daehyun said, "you can order your fleet to stand down, or we can disable this ship and let you drift in space while the battle continues." Kree looked at the young human. He could see no fear in those eyes, only determination. "You could kill me," Kree said. "Why do you offer mercy?" "Because we are not monsters," Daehyun replied. "We fight for freedom, not for murder." At that moment, Dr. Hyun's final weapon activated. Across the entire battlefield, every Council ship received the same signal, a computer virus transmitted through their own communication network. For 30 seconds, every Council vessel went dark. Engines off. Weapons off. Shields off. They were completely helpless. 30 seconds was enough. Human weapons targeted every Council capital ship. The missiles were ready. The gravity cannons were charged. One word from Admiral Minho and the entire Grand Armada would die. But Minho did not give that word. "All human ships, cease fire," he ordered. Let them see what we could do, but chose not to. The 30 seconds ended. Council ships came back online, and they realized what had just happened. They had been completely at humanity's mercy, and humanity had spared them. On Kree flagship, Daehyun lowered his weapon. War Marshal, my admiral wants to speak with you. Kree looked at his screens. Over 1,000 of his ships were destroyed. Another 500 were damaged. The rest were shaken, terrified. He had brought 3,000 vessels to crush humanity, and humanity had crushed him instead. Admiral Minho appeared on the communication screen. War Marshal Kree, Minho said, you came here to destroy us. We could have destroyed you. Every ship in your fleet was helpless for 30 seconds. We had you, but we let you live. Why? Kree asked, because this war does not need to end in genocide. Take your fleet and leave. Go back to the council and tell them this. We are not their enemy. We are their mirror. We show them what they have become. Weak, stagnant, afraid of change. Minho leaned forward. Tell Speaker Velthara that we are ready to talk, but not as subjects, as equals. And if she refuses, tell her this was just a demonstration. We were holding back. We are just getting started. The communication cut off. Daehyun team left the bridge as quickly as they had entered, and War Marshal Kree sat in his chair trying to process what had happened. He had brought the largest fleet in history. He had every advantage, and he had been defeated not by superior numbers but by superior thinking. All ships, Kree said quietly. Withdraw. Return to Council space. As the Grand Armada limped away from Earth, something inside Kree changed. He had spent 10,000 years believing the Council was right, that their way was the only way, but the humans had shown him something different. They had shown him that mercy could be strength, that sparing an enemy could be more powerful than destroying them, and he realized something that terrified him. The humans were right. The Council had become exactly what they claimed to fight against: tyrants, oppressors, destroyers of freedom. On Earth, Captain Yuna watched the enemy fleet retreat. Her crew was exhausted but alive. They had one admiral, she said to Minho. Will they come back? No, Minho said. Next time they come, it will be to talk. We have proven what we wanted to prove, that we cannot be defeated, that we are willing to show mercy, and that we are more dangerous than they ever imagined. Now comes the hard part, making peace. The council chambers had never been so quiet. Speaker Velthara sat at the center, reading War Marshal Kree report for the third time. Around her, the representatives of dozens of species waited in silence. Finally, she spoke. War Marshal Kree, you are telling us that the humans could have destroyed the entire Grand Armada, but they chose not to. Kree stood before the council, his forearms at his sides. Yes, Speaker. For 30 seconds, every ship was helpless. They had us completely at their mercy. They chose to demonstrate their power rather than use it. A representative from the outer system stood. This is a trick. They want us to believe they are merciful, so we lower our guard. Kree shook his head. I do not think so. I have fought these humans for a year. I have studied their tactics, their history, their thinking. They are not trying to conquer us. They are trying to change us. Another representative spoke. 7 species have now declared independence and joined the humans. More are talking about it. If we do not act, the council will fall apart. Perhaps, Velthara said slowly, the council should fall apart. The chamber erupted. Representatives shouted in shock and anger. Velthara waited for the noise to die down. I have led this council for 300 years, she continued. Before me, my predecessor led for 200. We have maintained order for 40,000 years. But perhaps order is not the same as justice. Perhaps stability is not the same as freedom. She stood up. The humans have sent us a message. They are willing to negotiate, not as subjects but as equals. I propose we accept. Half the council representatives immediately objected. The other half remained silent, thinking. War Marshal Kree, Velthara said. You have fought them. You have seen what they can do. What is your recommendation? Kree thought carefully before answering. I believe we cannot defeat them through warfare. But more importantly, I believe they are right. We have grown comfortable in our power. We have stopped listening to the species we claim to protect. The humans have shown us our weaknesses. We should learn from them, not fight them. A week later, Captain Yuna arrived at the neutral meeting station. She commanded a small escort of 10 ships. The station floated in empty space halfway between Earth and Council territory. Inside the station, human and council representatives met for the first time in peace. Admiral Minho led the human delegation. Beside him stood Dr. Hyun and Lieutenant Daehyun. Speaker Velthara and War Marshal Kree represented the council. They sat across from each other at a long table. Admiral Minho, Velthara said, "You have caused us great trouble." Minho smiled slightly. "You tried to enslave us. We caused you the trouble you deserved." Velthara's expression did not change. "You claim we enslave species. We believe we guide them." Dr. Hune spoke up. "Speaker Velthara, I have studied council history. Every species that joins you stops innovating within 50 years. You freeze their technology. You control their development. You call it guidance. But it is control. It maintains stability," Velthara replied. "It maintains your power," Minho said. "But at what cost? The galaxy has been frozen for thousands of years. No progress. No change, no growth. That is not civilization. That is a museum." War Marshal Kree leaned forward. "What do you propose instead?" Minho placed a data pad on the table. "We call it the Sol Accords, a new system of galactic governance. Every species gets equal representation. No forced membership. Free trade, free technology exchange. Competition, not control." Velthara picked up the pad and read. As she read, her expression changed from skepticism to surprise. "You are proposing to give up power," she said. "Under this system, humanity would have the same voice as the smallest species." "Yes," Minho said, "because we do not want an empire. We want a federation, a partnership of equals. The council will never accept this," Velthara said. "Some will, some will not. That is their choice. Those who want to join the new federation are welcome. Those who do not can remain independent. But the council as it exists now is finished. You cannot force species to obey anymore. We have shown them that resistance is possible." Kree studied the document. This would change everything. 10,000 years of tradition gone. But as he read, he found himself agreeing with it. The humans were offering something the council never had. "Real freedom, I support this," Kree said. "The council has served its purpose. But times change. We must change with them." Velthara looked at her war marshal in surprise. "You would betray the council?" "I would save it," Kree replied, "by transforming it into something better." The negotiations lasted 3 weeks. During that time, more council species declared their support for the Sol Accords, some because they truly believed in it, others because they feared human military power. Conservative council members tried to organize resistance. They planned to reject the Accords and continue fighting. But Lieutenant Daehyun Intelligence Network discovered the plot. Daehyun brought the evidence to War Marshal Kree. Kree studied the documents, then made a decision that shocked everyone. He testified before the full council about the conspiracy. "Members of this council are planning to continue the war," Kree said. "They care more about preserving their power than about the lives of billions. I will not serve such people. I support the Sol Accords, and I call for a vote." The vote was close. 30 species voted to accept the Accords. 28 voted against. The council was split almost evenly, but Speaker Velthara had the deciding vote. She stood before the assembly. "For 300 years I have maintained the old order. I have believed it was right. But the humans have shown me that even the best systems can become corrupt over time. They have shown me that real strength comes from freedom, not control." She looked directly at Admiral Minho, who watched from the visitor gallery. "I vote yes. The Sol Accords are accepted. The Galactic Council is dissolved. In its place, we create the Galactic Federation." The chamber erupted in noise. Some cheered. Others protested. But the decision was made. After the vote, Velthara met privately with Minho. "You have destroyed everything I built," she said. "No," Minho replied. "We have transformed it into something better. You built a cage even if it was a comfortable one. We are building a home." Velthara was silent for a moment. "What happens now?" "Now we rebuild. The Federation needs leaders who understand both the old ways and the new. I am recommending you as the first Federation Chancellor." Velthara looked at him in surprise. "After everything, you trust me with power? You proved you can change your mind when presented with truth. That is the most important quality in a leader. Besides, the position is elected now. Every year the species vote. If you fail, you lose power. That will keep you honest 5 years past." The galaxy transformed. The old council species, freed from restrictions, began innovating again. New technologies emerged. Trade flourished. Small species that had been silent for millennia found their voices. Admiral Minho retired from military service. He returned to Earth to live quietly by the ocean. But the galaxy did not forget him. One day, War Marshal Kree came to visit. He was no longer a war marshal. He now served as the Federation Minister of Defense, working to transform military forces into true defense rather than conquest. They sat on Minho porch, watching the sunset over the Pacific Ocean. "I have a question that has bothered me for 5 years," Kree said. "At the Battle of Sol, you could have destroyed us completely. Why did you not?" Minho took a sip of his drink. "Because we learned something from all our wars, all our history. Destroying an enemy creates a wasteland. Defeating an enemy creates a cautionary tale. But respecting an enemy, even in victory, that creates an ally." Kree thought about this. "Your species terrified us because you were so good at war. Now you terrify us because you might be even better at peace." Minho smiled. "We are just getting started." Across the galaxy, humanity continued to do what it did best: adapt, innovate, challenge, push boundaries, and prove that sometimes the best way to change the universe is not to conquer it, but to inspire it to be better. Captain Yuna became Earth's first ambassador to the Federation. Lieutenant Daehyun commanded the first joint human-alien military academy. Dr. Hyun led the Galactic Innovation Initiative, sharing technology freely with all species. The galaxy was not perfect. There were still conflicts, still disagreements. But now those conflicts were solved through dialogue rather than domination, through cooperation rather than control, and when new species entered the galaxy, they found not a council demanding submission, but a federation offering partnership. The age of empires was over. The age of cooperation had begun, and it had all started because one species refused to surrender, because they chose to fight not for conquest but for freedom, because humanity was just getting started.